I'm Chris Lorensson. I'm a founding member of Upptacka Press.
Good for you. Excellent.
Do you want more than that, Coles?
No, that's good. Do you want to talk a little bit about
go talk
partnership and publishing the book?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I've prepared a little thing with some notes for myself to talk about, and already introduced myself. But I want to talk a little bit about Upptacka Press because it really is the foundation where a lot of these, ideas and stuff is coming from. So Upptacka Press is a boutique publishing company. But that's, what we are on paper. Really, we're a collective of people and always have been. Upptacka is a Swedish word that means to illuminate. So why did we start and why does Upptacka exist? We started in 2001 as Upptacka Network. So that was just a group of misfit spiritual thinkers with a simple goal to create the deep spiritual philosophical material that nobody else was, to say what no one else would say. And so I want to paint a picture of some of the founding members of Upptacka Network to give you an idea of what this looks like 20 years ago. Dan, he was an English major who played lead guitar in a hardcore band. And now he heads a philosophy department at a university in the Pacific Northwest.
Of course he does.
Right? CJ was a gutter punk, and he now runs like a charity bicycle fixing service for the homeless. And he directly supports coffee growers in developing countries with his coffee company. John was an MMA and cage fighter who moved to the Australian bush to serve the forgotten tribes there. And he recently returned to California after 15 years of that voluntary service. And me, I'm a poet, a designer, a writer, a musician. I was on the streets as a kid, so just another homeless skater. We were all misfits. Nobody wanted to hear what we had to say. And I feel like Upptacka still represents marginalized voices. We were creating the work as Upptacka Network and saying those things that nobody else would say, but we needed an outlet, a platform. And I had moved to Bristol, England, met Geoff, and we founded Upptacka Press in 2006 in Bristol to point this material outward, basically. So fast forward 15 years and several books later, and I'm really proud to be releasing Owl. I know Geoff is as well.
Yes.
In many ways, I think Owl is a landmark for Upptacka Press, but also for the modern world of readership, the new generations of readers. We have nothing to lose, so we're not afraid to change the game and release something kind of crazy. So I can't wait for everybody on the live stream to experience the world of Owl if you haven't already. But what I want to say as a publisher is how proud I am of this work and of Geoff. Geoff and I have been really close for many years. He's always been a creative and critical thinker, but I think with Owl, he's broken his own molds a little bit, or maybe just reformed them.
No, totally broken, totally broken.
I'm really proud of what this collective has become, and because of Owl, but I think because of what Owl represents. Like, in a strange way, I think Owl's protagonists reflect the same genesis as Upptacka itself.
Yes.
And that feels appropriate. I think the thinking world is richer for this work and for Geoff. And I hope all the readers see the courage that's in Owl. I think it's the beginning of a story that we all need to experience together in these unique times to lift us up and open our hearts and minds to each other. And that's what I've prepared. Thank you. Really proud to be here.
No. It's such a thrill to hear from you, dude. As ever, just a soul dude. Chris and I, in those 2011, I think is when we first published The Wilderness and the Desert of the Real. And we just had this shorthand ability to understand what the other was saying and getting at. Just you give half a sentence, Chris could finish off the paragraph, that kind of thing. And yeah, I've missed that closeness. Chris is now in Fort Collins in Colorado. I'm still in Bristol, but one of these days I've got to get out there to see you and drink some whiskey. I wonder if it's okay for me now just to say a little bit on the writer's perspective. Is that okay? So, in thinking of the work of the writer and the artist, I consider it in the light of this quote from James Baldwin. Now, I love James Baldwin. Some of you may know of him. He's an African-American poet and writer. He writes this: art and literature, and to help one bear the fact that all safety is an illusion. In this sense, all artists are divorced from and even necessarily opposed to any system whatsoever. And that really spoke to me. He's written that in an article called The Artist's Struggle for Integrity. And that was back in 1963. And I'm thinking, yes, I want to live outside and work system whatsoever, be that philosophical, political, or ecclesiastical. Ideally want to kind of press on towards a goal that is very much based on that kind of spirit. James Baldwin kind of really touches the heart. Aware that there are similarities between James Baldwin and myself, not in our race, but in our heart, in our intent, and our search for integrity within the arts. Because I think we have a lot to say. I think we have the ability to say it. We just sometimes lack the means of doing that. And as we talked about earlier, and Richard Wallace's question, yeah, we could do 1,000 things, couldn't we, Chris? But it's always down to the budget. But it doesn't stop the intent to continue writing. And my hope from this is that we can build a community, that we can build really a conversation about what is happening in this world, politically, environmentally, socially, spiritually, that takes us beyond prescriptive answers and allows us to help people reimagine the world, because it's only through reimagining the world that I think change will come. It won't come through prescriptive measures, through word domination systems like, political manifestoes. It very much has to come from the heart of the and the musicians that we've had from tonight. Just love it all. Want to work with people more and more. Want to be in a community whereby we can share our gifts and where we can be led on by one another.